Now that we are in Module 4, we're going to focus on developing a yearly game plan and tie that into our weekly lesson plans. The creation of the yearly game plan allows us to step back and see our starting and ending point, as well as all that we do to build to that point. And when I say build, I don't just mean the curriculum and how we scaffold it all together, but I also mean how we formed a diverse pattern of things to do to make our math lab engaging and not stale. The first thing we would need to accomplish is to plan out all the activities. We will do this for many reasons, but since we're talking lesson plans, we're doing this so we have a good handle on what we're going to be doing. The planning out of the individual activities will be detailed in Modules 5 and 6. Once those are complete, the next step would be to formulate your lesson plan template. However, we can do that now. The top part of our plan would include our name, the date, our room number, the periods, and I added a link to the teacher website. The next section would be our brief emergency subplans. I put this at the top because we want the sub to easily find this section. Assuming the first time we need a sub would be far enough into the year to where our students know how to use and the process behind the Khan Academy part of our initiatives. The next section is titled Internet Outage Plans or Unevenly Altered School Schedule Due to Activities Planned. This is here to give you, the teacher, a planned backup when things don't go as expected. In other words, if the internet goes out and it not only ruins your current plans, but you needed the internet for the next couple of lessons, making it impossible to simply skip over to the next lesson. Or maybe you would have needed to prep more for what the next lesson would be and therefore can't move on. This is also here for when an event causes the schedule to be uneven. For example, if period 2 was 20 minutes long one day and that same day period 3 had to be 40 minutes long. A success that comes out of Math Lab is order of operations. This emergency plan of doing more allows the students to brush up on their skills and the steps involved to enable continued success. Another backup idea that is shown is the 24 game, which is an easy last-minute activity that is engaging for the students. In the next section, we will list the periods and their corresponding CMS codes. In this case, it'll be Google Classroom. Following that will be the focus activity, where we allude to how the focus comes into play through our carefully planned yearly game plan. The next part is our objective, which shows how we cycle through and is detailed on our yearly game plan. Skipping around, the resources, technology, and standards are just extra pieces that most districts require, and you can see what I have written there. The classwork section shows that the environment or teaching methods changes, but is primarily a student-centered approach. And again, the details behind the exactness can be found through the day-to-day process within the yearly game plan. The closure shows that we are dependent upon the yearly game plan that we put together, and that closure could look very different from one day to another. The assessment piece shows that we do quiz, but the driving force behind our grading is fueled by participation and effort. While these lesson plans may look hollow at first glance, we do explain each part of what we're doing or where to find it. And putting more effort into these plans would then be reinventing the wheel. What I mean by this is we already put a lot of effort into preparing the entire year in a very detailed way. We also constantly revise these plans and the actual nuances within very often. In an effort to show that we have this last section that links directly to our yearly game plan spreadsheet. This is more detailed than most other typical lesson plan templates because you have access to the exactness and intricacies of the day's activity or activities. On top of that, any building administrator would be able to see where we've been and where we're progressing towards with full view of the spreadsheet. Now, moving back to the Math Lab yearly game plan template itself, we can see the word together. It's written vertically in cell E. This is where we could comb through the various activities and pick out the ones where we want to or it makes sense for us to group together. In other words, combine our classes for that period. Since we haven't fully built this out yet, we can't come up with specific group updates yet. However, I can give you one example that often lends itself to a group scenario, to a group up scenario, I should say. If we scroll to D51, we will see hands-on activity. These are often good starting points to group up because of how they're structured. Other things that we can tackle that will help us build out this Math Lab yearly game plan would be to create video tutorials on each activity that we do. This will help convey and remind us of the purpose or how the structure of the lesson will unfold. We would be putting these mini tutorials inside the how-to column, which is currently column L. Hopefully we'll have time to tackle at least one such example in a future video. Alright, I think we're at a good stopping point. Hopefully you were able to get your lesson plan template in good shape for your first draft. Thank you.